How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Alvern, and today we'll be talking about my first impressions of Darwin's Game, which came out earlier this week and officially marked the start of Winter 2020 anime season, and also, interestingly enough, marked the first anime debut of the new decade. So, what I expected going into this anime, I took a look at some of the previews, some of the trailers, some of the summary of what the show is going to be about. And, I was cautiously optimistic, given how other anime in this genre have turned out. Does anybody remember Batum? Whatever happened to it? Honestly, it didn't seem like it was going to be a blockbuster, but it does still seem like it'll be one of the better shows this season. So I did want to give it a try, but, I came in with no expectations, nothing crazy. Wasn't expecting anything that's going to blow me away. And, that's kind of the mindset that I had coming into this. What is this show about? What is Darwin's Game about? Darwin's Game is pretty much a battle royale style survival death game. It's not an uncommon genre, and I think some of us have seen similar shows both in anime and in non-anime, with similar anime being shows like Future Diary or Batum or King's Game from last year. And I guess you could kind of compare it to like a Hunger Games style show in some ways. Now, when it comes to how this series sets itself apart from others, in all honesty, it kind of doesn't. There's nothing really here that's unique or shocking or original. It's a fairly cookie cutter battle royale survival game style anime. Now, it's not to say that it's bad per se. It's just not like amazing or anything. And it probably won't be one that's going to be remembered for long after the season's over. At least that's what I'm predicting, based on what I've seen so far. The series does incorporate some interesting elements that are a bit different. Namely, the aspect that the individual is invited to the game rather than, a group of people being sucked in arbitrarily. Kind of how we saw in, King's Game, where it was the whole class, or the movie Battle Royale, where it was the whole class. And they also introduced the gaming concept of loot boxes, which I found fairly interesting, where you get points and you can use them, to get loot boxes where you might get certain items or weapons that you can use in your future battles. So how does this game work? How does Darwin's Game work? People sucked into the game. They get sucked in when they get invited, and then they click on the app. If a battle starts, the app shows the two opponents, and at the end of the battle, if neither player has been killed and the fight hasn't been canceled, the one that sustained the most damage loses, and the mysterious, ominous disintegrating cubes work their magic and start chomping away at the loser, often taking chunks of the surrounding landscape with them. When a player wins, they gain points, which they can then use to roll for loot and gain weapons for their upcoming battles. The mechanics, I think, are actually pretty interesting. I don't have too many complaints about the mechanics of the game itself. The one thing that I didn't like or understand is how it takes place in the middle of a city, among other citizens or daily people. It's surprising that police wouldn't notice or get involved if battles like these are taking place in broad daylight. If you have people running around slashing, policemen's throats or running around with the guns, you would imagine that you'd have a swarm of police cars around you within a few minutes, especially in an urban area like this. And that's probably why other series in the genre typically seem to make the setting on something like a secluded island to make it more realistic. I don't want to say realistic, but it would kind of take away that plot hole of why the police aren't surrounding them in minutes. But I think it's something that I can ignore, at least for now, and we'll see how they sort of address that later on, or if they do. When it comes to the main character, or the main characters, I should say, since it looks like the female character will also be one of our protagonists, I gotta say, I hate them. I'm sorry, I really do. I hate these characters. Let's talk about our male MC. This guy is a total idiot. Like, he is really, really, really dumb. For real. This dude just stands there as people around him, including his friend, get slashed up. it takes him way too long to get any understanding of what's going on and to start, defending himself. He does redeem himself a bit towards the end, as it does look like he's actually pretty competent when he gets serious. But still, based on what I've seen, I just don't think that this is an MC that I could really get behind. I also hated the female MC equally as much, but her situation is flip-flopped with the male MC. She starts off fine. I actually kind of liked her character at the beginning. But at the end, her personality just flips from, like an I'm gonna kill you kind of phase to let's make a family, which is a direct quote. And this change happens in a span of minutes with no build-up, no character development or anything. So I just thought that was a bit ridiculous. I think they were trying to go with ending the episode with kind of like a interesting flip or a twist, but I think it was executed poorly, and it was just bad story writing, I think. I wouldn't blame the studio or anything. It's just whoever wrote the story. If it's the manga author, I don't know if there even is a manga for this story. But it was not good story writing, I think. One interesting scene that I thought was towards the end. One of the ending scenes was a girl who seemed to figure out what our main character's power is. And it kind of displays that, there's a sort of a mystery around his power where it's not fully known, what it is. And we also had his friend earlier in the episode allude to the fact that his aura, quote unquote, is the strongest that he's seen, which kind of sets the stage for our main character to having a high power tier. And it also sets the stage of the fact that there are tiers or categories of power to begin with. So, depending on where they go with that could be an interesting sort of factor of this story to look at. The animation quality, I would say it's not bad at all. It's pretty good. It's nothing incredible like an Attack on Titan or a Fate Zero or anything, but it's nothing to complain about, apart from maybe a couple scenes here and there, which is normal. What is very impressive, though, I haven't verified this, so take this with a grain of salt, but I did hear that the animation team is very understaffed. I've heard that it's only 6 people. If that's true, that is incredible. It's completely nuts, and it's quite impressive, I would say, if only 6 people animated this entire episode. So kudos to them. So let's kind of go into the quantitative factors here and give this show a score. So for the Alvern first impression score, I like to rate these stories based on a number of factors. When it comes to the story, if we give it out of 5 stars, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I do like the genre, but there's nothing really here that's original or memorable or anything like that. It seems pretty cookie cutter, but at the same time, depending on where they take the story, it could be quite good. There's something bad about the story in general, so I'll give it a 3, a neutral 3. Characters, I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. These characters are horrible. There is horrible character development. The only reason it's not a 1 out of 5 is it could be worse. There's shows out there that have absurdly terrible characters, so I'll reserve the 1 slot for them, but I will put this series into a 2 for characters, at least so far. For the uniqueness or trendability score, again, I'll give it a 2 out of 5. I don't think that this is an anime that we'll be talking about in 2025 or even 2021 for that matter. I don't think it's going to make waves or get people hooked where they're thinking about it or talking about it or tweeting about it or anything like that. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. Animation, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. It's not bad at all, but it's nothing to write home about either, so it's just a neutral 3. Will I watch the next episode? I'll give this at a 2-point score. 0 being I'm dropping this right now, 2 being I'm definitely going to keep watching. I'm going to give this a 1 out of 2. I'll watch the next episode, but, let's be real, I'll watch anything. But I'm not sure if I'll actually finish the series, so we'll give it a 1 out of 2. So altogether, story 3, characters 2, uniqueness 2, animation 3, will I watch the next episode a 1? That's a total of, 5, 7, 10, 11 out of, whatever the total is, 22. It's about, half of the total potential points. So again, check it out if you want. My recommendation would be if you're tight on time and you're the type of person who wants to watch something with a specific purpose in mind, where you have 5 different shows to choose from, you got to pick one to watch. Don't bother watching the show, I think. I think you're gonna be disappointed with how you've chosen to allocate your time. If you're like me and you'll watch pretty much anything once, and you like to just watch anime each season just to have something to watch, sure, go for it. You might enjoy it. You're not gonna hate yourself for watching it. It's like just one of those mind-numbing shows where it's like, it's all right. Something to put on maybe in the background or something like that. So anyways, that's my recommendation. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful morning or afternoon and or evening. Before you go, I would like to ask you for a quick favor. If you like the video, please do click that like button. If you want to see more of my content, please click subscribe. Wow, I can't talk today. And if you really like my content and you want to be notified of when my new videos come out, please click that bell icon as well. Thanks again for watching. This is Alex Alvern, and I'll see you in the next one.